Have you ever thought that just sand and PVA glue, two cheap, familiar, and super easy to find materials, could turn into a kind of magic material for DIY projects? When mixed together, they transform into a flexible yet sturdy compound with excellent adhesion, and it creates a beautiful cement-like textured surface. From using it as a decorative coating, adding unique texture to objects, to reinforcing old items, just a bit of creativity can turn ordinary things into pieces with real character. This is definitely a trick that anyone who loves DIY should try at least once. First, I'll use a sieve to sift the sand, removing any large pebbles and impurities. The fine sand left after sifting is the golden ingredient that helps the PVA mixture adhere more evenly and smoothly. Spend a little extra care on this step, and you'll find the mixture becomes much finer, more pliable, and a lot easier to work with. After sifting the sand, I set the fine portion aside and move on to mixing the mixture. Prepare a small cup or tray. Pour the PVA glue in first, and then slowly add the sand. I scoop about 3 spoonfuls of PVA glue into the cup as the base. This amount provides good adhesion, while still being easy to adjust once the sand is added. PVA glue has a moderately thick consistency, so just tilting the cup slightly makes it slowly flow down to the bottom. After that, I add 2 spoonfuls of ethanol into the cup. The alcohol helps thin the mixture slightly, making it easier to mix, and once it evaporates, it helps the mixture dry faster. Just pour in gently and stir well. You'll see the PVA glue start to turn into a smooth, creamy consistency, ready to be mixed with the fine sand you prepared earlier. If you want to see how I apply this mixture to real projects, watch until the end of the video. You'll see the results firsthand, along with little tips to finish your work like a pro. Next, I add 1 spoonful of the sifted fine sand into the cup, just a small spoonful, but it's enough to start creating texture and grit for the mixture. With this 1:3 ratio, the mixture becomes quite flexible and soft, leaning more toward adhesion than thickness. Since the PVA glue makes up most of it, you'll notice a smooth, spreadable consistency when you stir it, without any lumps. The amount of sand is just enough to add a slight rough texture and increase durability, but not so much that it makes the mixture dry or too heavy. When the mixture reaches a stable consistency, I add a bit of white paint. Just a small amount is enough to brighten the mixture, make it easier to coat surfaces, and create a more uniform base. As you slowly stir while adding the paint, you'll see the entire mixture shift into a smooth white tone that looks very clean and professional. At this point, the sand, PVA, paint mixture is almost complete. Strong, adhesive, and with a color that can be easily customized for any DIY project. To increase the natural texture and make the mixture sturdier, I add about 1 more spoonful of sand. This time, not too much, just enough for the mixture to feel thicker and noticeably adhesive to the touch. As you add the sand and stir well, the grains blend completely, creating a smooth texture while still retaining a natural roughness. And that's the entire process of making the sand PVA mixture. Now I'll put it to the test by applying it to different surfaces, starting with a wooden surface. To apply the mixture more evenly and smoothly, I use a small paintbrush. Simply dip the brush into mixture and gently stroke it over the wooden surface. The sand and glue blend together to form a uniform coating without any clumps. When applied, the mixture quickly forms a surface that closely resembles rough concrete. The sand grains slightly protrude and combine with the white PVA layer. They create a naturally rugged effect, like unfinished cement patches. To the eye, the surface looks both textured and smooth, giving a solid tactile feel, the perfect fake concrete look. Next, I try applying the mixture onto a cardboard surface. When brushed on, the mixture adheres very well, without soaking in too quickly or making the cardboard soft. The coating creates a thick, slightly rough texture, making the cardboard look sturdier and more solid. Tiny sand grains rise to the surface, producing a fake concrete effect similar to the wood, but lighter, while still retaining the natural flexibility of the cardboard. After applying, I leave the mixture in place and let it dry. Once dry, the sand PVA mixture becomes firm and adheres securely to both the wooden and cardboard surfaces. After drying, the surface has a distinct texture, both rough and smooth, resembling unfinished raw concrete. The sand grains slightly protrude and are evenly distributed, giving a naturally rugged feel to the touch. The PVA glue holds the sand firmly in place, preventing it from falling off, while providing just enough subtle sheen to make the surface look lively rather than completely flat. The pale white from the paint combined with the natural gray of the sand gives the surface depth, making it perfect for DIY projects aiming to recreate a raw, industrial, or faux concrete look. To test durability, I lightly scraped the surface with a screwdriver. The result was impressive. The sand PVA mixture didn't scratch or flake at all. The sand grains are firmly held in the glue, forming a sturdy protective layer while still maintaining the natural rough texture. Besides PVA glue, another really interesting trick is to combine sand with silicone adhesive. Next, I pour a sufficient amount of silicone adhesive into the cup. Not too much, so the mixture doesn't come too runny, but enough to make the sand stick firmly. Then, I add a small amount of thinner. The thinner helps loosen the silicone slightly, making it easier to mix with the sand and ensuring a smoother, more workable consistency. Because the thinner, silicone mixture is quite thick and takes time to blend. Stirring by hand gets tiring quickly. I decided to make a simple stirring tool. This tool allows for faster, more even, and much easier mixing, reducing hand fatigue while giving better control over the mixture's consistency. It's extremely convenient for anyone working with large amounts or creating thick coatings. I start stirring evenly with the homemade tool, and the mixture gradually becomes uniform, smooth, and perfectly elastic. Thanks to the stirring tool, I can mix thoroughly without effort while easily controlling the consistency. Once the mixture is uniform, I add a bit of blue paint, just enough to give it a vibrant color, without changing the mixture's consistency. As I stir gently while adding the paint, the entire mixture turns into a smooth blue tone. Finally, I add a little more sand to the mixture. This time, just enough to enhance the texture and highlight the roughness, while still maintaining the silicone's flexibility and elasticity. As I sprinkle the sand and stir gently, the grains blend evenly, creating a coating that is sturdy, smooth, and thick, yet still retains a natural, rugged look. After the mixture is ready, I apply it onto a wooden surface. Using a paintbrush, I gently spread it so that the sand and silicone adhere evenly to the wood. The coating sticks firmly, creating a naturally rough texture with a vibrant blue color while retaining a raw, rustic feel. To the touch, the surface feels flexible yet sturdy, perfect for testing DIY projects that require a solid texture while staying creative. Next, I try applying the mixture onto a foam board, Foamex. When brushed on, the mixture adheres very well, without dripping or deforming the thin plastic sheet. The coating on the Foamex retains its rough texture and vibrant blue color, while remaining flexible and elastic thanks to the silicone. The result is a surface that is both sturdy and naturally textured, perfect for DIY decoration projects or models that need a striking effect without damaging the base material. Once dry, the sand silicone blue paint mixture becomes firm yet retains slight elasticity without cracking or flaking. The surface clearly shows the tiny sand grains, creating a naturally rough, concrete-like texture that still feels soft to touch. The blue color spreads evenly and vibrantly, highlighting the details on both wood and foam board. When I spray water onto the dried surface, the sand silicone blue paint mixture shows excellent water resistance. The water doesn't penetrate, but forms small droplets on the surface that can be easily wiped away without damaging the coating. Thanks to the silicone, the surface remains naturally textured while being water repellent, ensuring that DIY projects applied on wood, Foamex, or other materials stay vibrant and retain their texture even when exposed to moisture. Sand is an extremely versatile material for DIY projects. It not only adds a natural roughness, helping surfaces become slip-resistant, but also enhances adhesion when combined with adhesives like PVA or silicone. Adding sand to a mixture also makes the coating sturdier, maintains its shape, and creates a raw, lively texture. Additionally, sand acts as a filler, filling small gaps on surfaces to ensure a more even and durable finish. A material that seems simple but is incredibly multi-purpose in the world of DIY. And that's the entire process of creating DIY mixtures with sand. Whether combined with PVA glue or silicone, each method produces unique and durable effects. With just simple ingredients, you can create rough, sturdy, and even water-resistant surfaces ready for creative projects on wood, Foamex, or many other materials. By experimenting, adjusting, and mixing as you like, you'll see that sand truly is a golden ingredient in the world of DIY. Continuing the idea of reusing old materials, here's a super clever way to turn empty or broken lighters into useful items for DIY. Instead of throwing them away, you can take them apart to salvage small metal parts, springs, or hard plastic casings. Perfect for making frames, tiny mechanisms, or combining with other craft projects. With just a bit of skill, these seemingly useless scraps can become creative components, helping you craft unique details that are hard to find in stores. Let's take a look at what an old lighter can really do. And I'm going to choose a type of lighter with an electronic push button because it already has a built-in button that's perfect for reusing as a trigger mechanism. I'll prepare a small plastic bottle to use as the water reservoir. The more compact the bottle is. As for the bottle cap, I'll place the lighter on top of it and align it with the lighter's shape. Then, using a utility knife, I'll cut out just enough of the lighter to fit through and stay securely in place. With a bit of careful trimming, the cap will turn into a sturdy holder for my little water trigger system. Next, I'll trim away a bit of the plastic at the bottom of the lighter to create a direct passage down to the water tube by shaving off just the lower section while keeping the frame and the push button mechanism intact. I'll create an opening that allows water to be pushed out each time the button is pressed. Combined with the water bottle underneath, it will work like a mini DIY piston system. After that, I'll drill a small hole in the body of the water bottle. This little hole will determine whether the water jet can spray out strongly or not. Next, I'll remove all the internal components from the lighter's head. Once the frame is hollow, I'll install a water tube running straight through the lighter. This tube will sit neatly right beneath the push button mechanism, so every press creates pressure to push the water out, turning the old lighter shell into a complete trigger system for a mini water jet. Next, I'll take an empty pen and reuse the inner plastic tube as a water conduit. This type of pen tube has a small diameter, is lightweight and easy to trim, making it perfect for threading to the lighter body and connecting to the water bottle. It creates a straight pathway for the mini water jet stream to shoot out. After that, I'll clean out any leftover ink inside the pen tube using WD-40. Just a small spray inside, a quick shake and a wipe, and all the ink residue will come out, leaving the tube completely clean and unclogged, ready to channel water smoothly for the mini water jet. Once the tube is completely clean, I'll start threading it through the lighter shell, just a gentle push from the top downward, and the tube will slide neatly into the pathway I previously carved out. Next, I'll reassemble the lighter parts. The outer shell, the top section, and the push button will all be put back in their original positions. Except now there's a water tube running through the inside. Once everything snaps into place, The lighter looks almost unchanged on the outside, but in reality, it has been transformed into a mini water jet trigger. Next, I'll secure the modified lighter onto the bottle cap using baking soda and super glue. Just sprinkle a layer of baking soda around the edge, then add a few drops of glue. The mixture hardens almost instantly, creating an extremely strong and airtight bond. Thanks to this seal, when pressure builds up inside the bottle, the water jet will shoot out powerfully and consistently without any leaks. Now I'll take a bike valve and insert it into the hole I drilled on the bottle body. By pressing it in firmly and tightening it securely, it becomes a pressure fill and release point for the entire system. This valve controls the force of the water jet. Just pump air into the valve to increase the pressure inside the bottle. And the moment the lighter button is pressed, the water shoots out as a strong, precise jet. This is the heart that makes the water jet truly work. I'll also use a small piece of rubber as a gasket, placing it between the bottle body and the bike valve. This rubber pad seals all the gaps around the valve, preventing any air from escaping when pressure is pumped in. Once the valve is pressed tightly together with the rubber gasket, the system becomes completely airtight, ensuring the water jet fires powerfully and consistently with every trigger. Once everything is sealed and secured, I'll start filling the bottle with water. I'll pour in about 2/3 of the capacity, leaving enough space for air compression. This will be the main water supply that the water jet uses to create the pressurized stream. After that, just pump air into the valve and the system is ready to go. Next, I'll use a bike pump to fill the bottle with air. Each pump increases the pressure, compressing the air above the water. Once it's fully pressurized, the bottle acts like a mini tank, ready to shoot a strong, precise water jet the moment I press the lighter's button. Pressing the lighter's button instantly channels the compressed air down the water tube. The water is immediately forced out, forming a strong, straight, and precise jet. It shoots several dozen centimeters and looks absolutely impressive. A mini water jet brought to life from an old lighter. The water jet flows out smoothly and consistently, thanks to the airtight system and pressurized bottle. Each time the lighter's button is pressed, the stream stays straight and focused, without wobbling or spraying in all directions. This ensures a reliable and precise jet every single time. You can also use a mini water jet to water small plants. By gently pressing the lighter's button, a controlled stream of water flows out, reaching each plant without flooding the soil. The jet is strong enough to water effectively, but precise enough to avoid splashing, making a fun and handy tool for small pots or seedlings. After testing the mini water jet made from the lighter, let's move on to another super fun DIY trick using a lighter. For this next trick, I'll use the type of lighter that has a spark wheel. It may look simple, but it contains several small mechanical parts that are incredibly useful, especially the spark wheel assembly and the spring. However, this type of spark wheel lighter isn't designed for continuous ignition because when kept lit for too long, the wheel and flint heat up very quickly. I'll use a bolt and nut that are large enough and roughly the same length as a lighter. To start this trick, I'll use a small bolt and attach it to the lighter's body using hot glue. Just heat up the glue, apply a thin layer to the spot where the bolt will go, then press the bolt in place. Once the glue cools, it will hold firmly. As I start tightening the nut onto the bolt, the nut gradually presses down on the gas button of the lighter. Once the pressure is strong enough, the gas button stays locked in place, allowing the lighter to stay lit continuously without me having to hold it. This turns the lighter into a fixed, hands-free flame source. This setup is incredibly convenient because it frees up both hands while keeping a steady flame. You no longer have to keep your thumb pressed down, which makes it easier and safer to heat, melt, or ignite materials during DIY projects. The continuous flame acts just like a small, portable torch that's always ready when you need it. However, you need to be extremely careful when using this trick. Keeping a lighter burning continuously can make it heat up very quickly, which may cause burns or even melt the plastic body. Never place it near anything flammable, never leave it unattended while it's running, and always have water or a damp cloth ready in case something goes wrong. This is just a small DIY trick, and should only be done under safe, controlled conditions. And those are 2 fun DIY tricks you can try with old lighters that might have seemed useless. With just a bit of creativity, we can not only recycle these small items, but also turn them into unique and useful tools. Whether it's making a mini water jet or creating a hands-free flame, always prioritize safety while doing it. See you in the next DIY adventure.